What is going on, everyone? It is Dylan with DFS, bringing you a brand new video. Today's video, I'm going over tight ends to target in Week 1 cash plays. This is on DraftKings. I don't really do FanDuel as much just because the majority of the contests I enter are on DraftKings. But we'll get into it. So we have 4 tight ends above 5K. That's kind of a huge pay up on tight ends. So if you are paying up on a tight end, they need to smash, otherwise you're really hurting yourself. Usually tight end is another position that you could pay down on and find some value and allow you to pay up on quarterback, running backs, and wide receivers. Pretty much tight end and defense go hand in hand, pay downs for the most part, and allow you to pay up at other positions. So I do like a Mark Andrews, Lamar Jackson stack this week. Mark Andrews did return to practice, so it looks like he should be a good to go for the game. 6,200. I'm okay if you are stacking with Lamar. I don't recommend playing Andrews without Lamar. It just kind of contradicts itself. But if Mark Andrews, for whatever reason, isn't in, we go down here to Isaiah Likely at 3,000. And he's a really good value pay down at tight end this week if Andrews is out, but I expect Andrews to be in. George Kittle returned to practice. There was some value there for San Francisco backup tight ends. Probably Ross Dwelly, I believe, is the backup for them, so he would have been a good value. But we did get some news of Cooper Kupp is out week 1. I don't know how long he'll be out for, but he will be out week 1, which means Tyler Higbee becomes a cash play that I really like now. So it's 4,800 for him. We saw the volume that Higbee got last season with Stafford. Stafford's a guy that pretty much almost like an Aaron Rodgers. If you hear that of guys they trust, that's who they go to. It's kind of why I think Allen Robinson just didn't fit in. Not a lot of trust there. So Tyler Higbee at 4,800 is the number 1 pass catcher now for the Rams. Granted, you got Bobby Wagner and that really good secondary, so it's not a huge love. But for the price point and the opportunities, he is there for me. And then right below him at 4,700 is Evan Ingram. I mentioned countless times in the rest of the videos of how much I like Jacksonville. Evan Ingram, if you can't afford Christian Kirk, who's not that much more expensive, you're not paying up for Calvin Ridley. Evan Ingram at 4,700, then you should try to stack. I would prefer playing Kirk and Ridley. I think they have a little bit better of matchups and opportunities. But Evan Ingram at 4,700 still is another play that I like. And then we go down some more. Gerald Everett, 4,300 against Miami. There's a lot of weapons for the Chargers, right? We know that Miami kind of banged up in the secondary. They still have a majority of their defense healthy. But a new offensive coordinator for the Chargers will help, in my opinion, the pass catchers besides Austin Eckler. It's crazy to see how many targets he got last year compared to wide receivers and tight ends. I don't think that's something that would have been successful long term if it just happened season after season. But Gerald Everett, 4,300, is a really good piece, in my opinion. And a good piece at tight end to pay down too. So he's less than Higbee, less than Ingram. But he's not too cheap and a solid play, in my opinion. That's really it as far as plays for tight end this week. I think other than that, you're punting pretty much in cash. So my 3 plays pretty much is Higbee, Ingram, and Everett, and only Andrews if you want to pay up for Lamar. Granted, you're gonna have a very expensive stack, but I think that stack is well worth it. So some other names is Irv Smith, just value alone. The matchup's not the greatest, but is got value there. Noah Fant against the Rams, just because he's a Seattle player. Trey McBride here, I have noted if Ertz is out, he becomes a value. So we're looking at that to see where that goes. Kyle Granson is a good tournament play for me, just because like Jacksonville's defense isn't there yet. I think their corners are good. The linebackers really aren't as good. Their edges are good. which can help, but 2,900 for a tight end with Jelani Woods out. It'll be Granson and Mo Alley Cox, if I had to guess, battling. And then Luke Musgrave is another name that I'm watching out for. Bears have, for the most part, been good against tight ends and arguably have one of the best linebacker groups this year. But with Romeo Doubs and Christian Watson both being banged up with hamstring injuries, Luke Musgrave is a name to definitely watch, especially at 2,900. I think he's a good tournament play regardless, getting some opportunities there in Green Bay in what should be a close game. So don't love him. Like, none of these guys I'm really targeting in cash. It's pretty much Higbee, Ingram, and Everett. And I'm going to do defenses as well, just because I can't talk about defenses too long. I don't think it's really worth it. So, yeah, if you're going to pay up for a defense, Baltimore at 4,000 against Houston. Just rookie quarterbacks not having much success. A lot of turnovers, a lot of rookie mistakes, and rightfully so. You can't blame them. They're rookies. They're learning, right? So Ravens here at 4,000. If you want to pay up for defense, go ahead, right? Seattle at 3,300 is another option against a Rams team who lost their best talent on offense by far best talent on offense, and they're relying on Tyler Higbee, Van Jefferson, Ben Skoranek, and rookies, Cam Akers, Puka is stepping up, I guess, in that role. But overall, I feel like Seattle's got a really good defense. And then the Chargers is a tournament play that I like against Miami, just because of Tua being able to pass heavy. We've seen some mistakes come out of there. The running back room is kind of banged up as well. And the Chargers are getting their best corner back. And their corners last year were pretty good. Derwin James is there, Joey Bosa, Khalil Mack. There's a lot of opportunity for that defense to get some sacks, some picks, turnovers, takeaways, and etc. So 3,100 I think is a good tournament play. And then Washington, Washington should be more, right? Like, I don't know what happened with the pricing that Washington's defense is 2,800 against arguably the worst offense. Right, I think it's safe to say we could say the worst, but we're not just going to count them out yet. But definitely a top 5 or bottom 5 offense. So Washington has a lot of hard hitters. Their defensive line is going to be healthy now. Their secondary is not great, but that defensive line is scary. Whether that be on the rush or pass rush, Washington's defense is scary. And then if you're looking for some pay down options, I think Tampa Bay's defense is a good pay down option, right? Obviously, you have weapons in Justin Jefferson, TJ Hawkinson, Alexander Mattson, Jordan Addison, who I love this season. There's plenty of options there for Minnesota, but Tampa Bay has a very underlooked defense. A lot of those guys are returning. I think their defense was kind of their high point last year, and their offense was lackluster. If Baker can figure it out, this Tampa Bay team could be somewhat good. But I think the opportunity for some sacks is there. Getting you 5 to 10 points is reasonable in a game against Minnesota, and paying 2,200. The Raiders as well. Obviously, the Jones situation doesn't make me like it as much now, but if he does for some reason play, that makes me like him, just because we saw what Denver's offensive line did in the preseason, and it looked like Russell Wilson was going to die. The uncertainties at wide receiver, right? They're missing possibly 3 wide receivers. Javonte coming back. Samaj P. Ryan's going to be there, so if I'm paying down, I take Tampa, but I think Washington's pretty much the safest play. So that is it. If you guys have any questions over any of the positions, feel free to leave a comment. If you guys are interested in joining our Discord, the link for that will be in the description down below. And yeah, there's a Thursday night game. If you guys haven't checked that one out, I made the video earlier this week, so definitely check that out. And I will see you guys in the next one.